we continue with what we are doing, with this overconsumption, overconsumerism, we will go into a direction where your kids will never ever see this planet like we actually saw it, and we need to break this vicious cycle. It's an app which is made for the community, with the community, and for the community, where people post things which they want to rent. The cool thing is, it tells you how much you can rent it for a month, and then you can see how much extra income you can make with the app. 36 million tokens. 99% are scams.
Uber, DoorDash, right? Why have those apps taken off in a bigger way than this kind of like sharing economy idea?
It wasn't ready.
What is your greatest ambition for this product? Excellent. Welcome to the podcast today. We're here with Armand from iVault. Super interesting consumer product that's kind of at the forefront in a lot of ways, and we'll get into that. I like to start off always with a bit of a provocative question. So my question for today for you is, why does consumer tech need crypto, need blockchain in the first place?
Very good question. Well, why do we need a car to drive from, let's say, Tennessee to New York? It's the same question, you know. I like it. It's provocative, but to give you a quick answer, because you are more secure when you deal with blockchain in one hand. Because imagine, is any blockchain, did you hear any blockchain that was hacked and where they successfully came out of the blockchain? Never heard about that. So the biggest problems what we have right now is those data leaks, selling of information, hacking, Visa, MasterCards, all the credit cards, all the super secure places got hacked. We see it, and every time on our apps, our passwords are compromised, and you always have to change your password. That's a bummer, to be quite honest with you. And I think blockchain is a real cool technology. If you can implement it in a way that the consumer doesn't even realize that you have a smart contract working behind you doing the transactions, then you have the security. Nobody can actually steal your data because you have your recovery phrase, you have your key, And in the other hand, why crypto? Because we thought if we want to save the world, from all the microplastic which we're ingesting right now, what we have in the oceans, and we all know about that, and we still keep buying new things and have the FOMO that we're missing out of something if we're not cool in buying stuff, then we're going to end up really with a bad situation. If it's the planet Earth or our body or what it is, the health issues, what we cause through nanoplastics and plastics, what we have already in our body. And so we thought, to actually break this vicious cycle, we have to incentivize people, before they think it's really cool, because the crypto scene is very money driven. So if you incentivize people and tell them, hey, if you actually rent your lawnmower to your neighbor and you just use it once a week, give it for $10, you make $10, but you feel good about yourself because you did something good. And in addition to that, you get rewards for sustainable behavior, and these rewards, those echo points, you can pay publishing fees, or you can actually convert them 3 times a year. So basically, you can't do that as a startup company. If you start brand new, how do you want to give rewards? I'm giving you a good example. Look at Lufthansa. It's a famous airline here in Germany. They have 1.9 billion euros in reserve if all the people who have the miles and more card want to fly tomorrow for free, to pay for those flights. As a startup company, how you want to do it? So you build some tokenomics which makes sense, where 25% of the tokens are reserved for those echo points to reward the people. And then at the end, so if you look at it, okay, you have your data safe, you get incentivized for being sustainable, and you get and you have basically a very fair transaction model where you only pay a publishing fee of $1 and not 30% or whatever it is on other platforms. Then you have a technology which really benefits you and society and planet Earth at the end of the day. So that's why we do crypto, because the tokenomics makes sense, and the community actually builds the app if it's successful or not. And we know the community is more powerful than anything else. We saw it with GameStop. We saw it with so many other products and companies which they got involved and pretty much did a great job. So the community can actually dictate how this app will perform. But I think if you have three major points, like I said before, incentivization, data secureness, and incentivizing a sustainable behavior and a fair transaction model, then you have a good base to work with. So that's the reason why we're using that.
So basically, like legacy companies are well enough kind of capitalized to be able to kind of like run reward systems and borrow from the network effects they've created. But now you're basically borrowing kind of from the future network value to solve the network cold start problem around your product. Is that a fair characterization?
Yes, you can see it that way. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. I want to back up a little bit because we actually haven't talked about what your product is, but explain to me from the highest level what is iVault and what are you guys trying to accomplish?
Okay, iVault, the version 2, which came out in October 2024, is basically a marketplace where you can buy, sell, rent, donate used items, where you pay basically a very small publishing fee from $1 basically, or euro in Europe, and you have this product which you listed for the next 30 to 90 days, depending what you have to offer on the platform. We don't want any other transaction fees, commissions at all. So I think it's a very fair way to make business. On the other hand, we want to break the cycle of overconsumption, because overconsumption leads to all those problems we know right now, especially to microplastics in the ocean, stronger wildfires, floods, and so on and so forth. And we want to break this vicious cycle. We say, hey, you don't need to buy an electro drill if you use it just once in your lifetime. You can rent it from your neighbor, be more sustainable. And we calculated if you buy 6 times an electro drill, then, or better said, if you rent 6 times an electro drill instead of buying 6 times an electro drill, you save 160 kilograms of CO2 for the atmosphere.
Oh, wow.
So there is already, there are facts and figures which shows, the effect, if we actually minimize our consummation. And I think that's very crucial because, politics, industries, they don't care. They really care about making money fast and quick. But if you change a little bit the way of our thinking, the priorities, which should be based more on empathy, love, compassion, and unity, especially in times where we are right now, where we have wars, all over the place. 170 countries are killing each other, and that's ridiculous. Where from the civilization point, civilization zero, because there's hate and killing and dying and murdering. And this is pathetic for us humanity. So we need to bring something out where, like I said before, empathy, compassion, unity, and love counts. And how can you do that better than incentivizing people for being good? That's exactly what we're doing.
Are there any existing, I want to say companies, but maybe it's not even companies. It's kind of like models around sharing economies and stuff that you've been inspired by in building out this company?
No. There is a lot of sharing platforms. Yes, absolutely. But the way we are doing it, we are the only one in the market and the first ones. And luckily, we patented our technology and our system, which was granted in the US in 2023, and in China and in Switzerland in 2024, in Australia, and soon in Europe and in Japan. But the way we do it, yes, there is a lot of sharing platforms, thanks to God. We are not the only one, but all of them are Web 2. And Web 2, it's great. Yeah, you can get the critical mass real quick. The opposite, the problem of Web 2 is your data is never really 100% secure. That's one thing. The second thing is those platforms make money through commissions, up to 30%, for each transaction. And I don't think it's a fair base. It's much smarter if you use blockchain and utilize blockchain for your benefit, and your data is secure. That's why we call it iVault. Your identity is in your own vault. You control it basically, and rewarding. There is no rewarding model the way we are actually doing it in this sharing platform. There are some reward system, but not the way we do it, where we say 3 times a year you can actually take your Echo points and convert them into tokens, and pair it in with Bitcoin or Ether or whatever you want to wish, and we are already also listed on the exchanges as well. So from that perspective, there is sharing platforms, all of them on Web 2. We are the only one in Web 3. And I know that as a matter of fact, and I'm very proud of that. So we have to actually haul ass to make everyone using our app and benefit from it, because it's really it's an app which is made for the community, with the community and for the community. And and when the community sticks together and use it a lot, they will benefit even from the token price, because hey, the token is always based, the price of a token is always based on demand, supply and demand, and if the demand goes up, then obviously prices go up as well. But I'm here not to promote the token, because this is a different spiel, because the community is dictating the token. I'm here to promote our app. I think it's an incredible fair base, and it's something which is has a much deeper reasoning behind it why we're doing it than I would say 99.9% of the crypto use cases we have right now. I mean, most RWA cases are built on real estate. We know that, and there's nothing really for the public. And I think we are the first one, besides gaming, which is great and fine, but nothing really is here where we can actually empower us as a civilization to the next level. And this is civilization number 1. We are now on 0, like I said before.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that some of the biggest value in crypto comes from the idea of like these economic networks that we can create, right? I exchange value with you, I receive a token, I receive, this like value exchange, and if it can go across multiple people, multiple nodes, it becomes this incredibly valuable network, and then the network can be monetized with a fee or something. So it's an elegant model, right? And it's a concept that the exchange or the buying and selling of value exists in crypto, with exchanges and things like that. But we have yet to see the sharing of value until right now, which is interesting. Talk to me about the flow of an app. So I'm a user. What I come, what am I selling? My coffee, or what am I renting? My coffee machine? Can I do anything? Tell me about the flow as a user.
Okay, the idea behind the app is, let's say, okay, you heard about the app, you want to install the app, and you're installing it, you do the onboarding process, which we did much easier than it was like 6 months before, because 6 months before you have to copy a recovery phrase. We had some programmers that took it really very, very serious about crypto and stuff like that. And we too, but don't get me wrong, if you want to get, like, say, 10 million users or 50 million users in the next 3 to 5 years, you can't have it too complicated. So we are easing it out as we speak. And so in the onboarding process, you can actually put your email in, and you get basically in your email some registration form, a number where you can actually log in. Then you can basically look through the marketplace. We have a marketplace, like I said to you before, with static pictures, but also with videos. So if you see something and this person who's actually renting, lending, or selling something posted also a video about the item, you can see even the video. So it's pretty cool. And on the other hand, we have also a community board where people can interact, like, Reddit, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, so people can post pictures, videos and stuff like that, make polls and engage with each other, which we thought is very important as well, if people wish to do that, obviously. Right. And as a third function, we have obviously also the lost and found function, which was actually the first idea of the app. That was version 1. And that means your cat, your dog ran away. You have a picture of your cat, dog. You can send a notification to a range of 50 kilometers to people with a finder's fee. Hey, did you see the dog? So you don't need to stick things on the tree, those pant leaves, and ask for someone who saw this dog. So that's pretty cool as well. And has an Amber Alert as well, or your grandfather with Alzheimer doesn't know where to come home. So you can do that with this notification tool what we have in the app. And obviously, last but not least, it's your vault. So now Jack wants to use iVault, and he doesn't know what he wants to rent. Maybe you have a couple of things you wanna let go. You can post it and and ask for a small amount, or even donate it. I donate a lot of things because I realized to myself I'm not a minimalist, so I'm starting to be a minimalist. So this app should help me, because I realized the more I buy, the more miserable I get. So I think it's better to let go of things and have other priorities than purchasing things and thinking that makes you happy. It doesn't. There's other things what makes you happy. So, for instance, meditation, that will help, or doing sports. So you can actually post things you want to sell, or you have, let's say, an electro drill which has dust on it, and you say, hey, you know what? I can put it for rent for $5 a day. Or for a few hours, or a skateboard or a bicycle. You have maybe 2 bicycles, you want to rent one. And you can post, you can put it into your vault, and you have access to your own vault. I can see if I can show it to you here on the screen. Hold on. By the way, everyone can actually install the app worldwide. It's already available in 61 languages. So to show you real quick, the marketplace. So that's basically the marketplace.
Just a standard kind of feed of...
Yeah, where people post things, and which they want to rent. And here, for instance, soon you see also, I think one person put also a video about a book they want to rent, and I can show you the video. Hold on, where is it at? Yeah. There's everything. So from clothes on, everything, what people basically. And here you have the community board, where people actually have, put polls on and have videos on. And here's the vault. This is my vault, basically. Here's my vault where I have my items in, and only you have access to the vault. The cool thing is you actually say how much the value is of your products, and it tells you later on, once we have some critical mass, how much you can rent it for a month. So your rental income, basically. It's some kind of AI tool which is calculating what the neighborhood is actually renting those things, what you have in your vault. And then you can see how much extra income you can make with the app. And that's pretty neat, I think. And of course, you can buy, here are the echo points I received so far, 954. Here is my profile with the followers. And of course, here you can buy the tokens as well directly with Apple Pay, Google Pay, and they will come right into your wallet here. I have my recovery phrase, obviously. It's your key, it's your crypto. So we really make sure it's a non-custodial wallet. So I think, you saw the app. It's pretty neat and nice and easy to use. But that's one thing you can do. So basically, you can post your things, and then you can decide, do I want to list it later or not? But at least you have it in your vault, and only you have access. And then you can look for the marketplace, yes.
And then there's obviously a geographic component. It's difficult for me to rent my lawnmower to you across the ocean. So how does that geographical component tie in?
We only focus on local communities. It makes no sense to ship something from the States and calling it a sustainable action. For that, I definitely don't give any rewards out. But for a neighbor, maybe 1 block or 2 blocks away, that's cool. That's fine. We can do that. It should be local. And later on, we want to get it from local to hyper local. But not, out of states or other countries, because makes no sense. What, might be interesting in the later stage, when you have really a critical mass and some people are on vacation in Thailand, for instance, and someone is looking for something in Thailand, but the guy is living in the US, hey, can you buy me this and that? Then you can do that if they come anyways back there. So I think it's all about connection, and the more people we are, the more people we connect from the neighborhoods, then you can actually do more things. But principally, it's only for local and hyper-local neighbors. Yeah.
Well, what you said about kind of like the lost pet alerts, like the Amber Alert type thing, it's almost like you're trying to create a community application and then later solve for value exchange and monetize the network. So the real focus is kind of reconnecting human beings,
Bravo.
and then the value exchange kind of comes from being able
From
to
itself.
exactly.
Absolutely. And that's why everyone says, but how do you make money? How do you make money? If you only charge $1, how the heck you make money? Look, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's quite simple, Look at the big boys, how they make money. How is actually YouTube making money? They're doing everything for free. But if you don't want to see any commercials and advertising, then you pay your freaking $17.99 a month. Mm-hmm. And believe me, it's probably 30% of the people on YouTube who pay. I'm one of them. I'm one of the suckers who pay. But anyways, what I want to say, quite simple. Once you have a certain critical of mass, and let's say you have 10 million users, if only 10 or 20% pay a basic fee of $3.99 a month, and they have 5 posts for free, 3 Amber Alerts for free a month, or notifications, and you can have a premium version and a platinum version with more. If you have a shop, a small second-hand shop or a rental shop or stuff like that, you can actually use it, have a better plan. But this way, start first to make the people love the app. Make the people to understand the added value, what problem you're trying to solve, And once you reach that, you can start with advertising, with Home Depot, with insurances. Hey, you wanna buy some insurance before you rent it? Talking to insurance companies, I know that they are interested. Put advertising in. And if you don't want to see the freaking advertising, hey, do the basic version for $3.99 because you're already putting 5 things a month in. And this way, you have a cash cow. But don't do it before. Most of the apps which fail, they're starting to charge beforehand, before the consumer even know they added value. Makes no sense.
Yeah,
Correct
it's funny.
Me if I'm wrong.
My dad is getting into like ChatGPT coding, right? And he's trying to build out his own little app. And he was talking to me yesterday. He's like, I just don't know where the business model comes in yet. And it's like, don't worry about the business model till now. Worry about providing value to the user. And if you can get users and provide value to them, then it will be very, very easy to figure out some business model down the line. But the most important thing is that value add right at the beginning.
Absolute, correct. Yeah, that's how it has to be, because most apps, most companies fail in the startup area if they have this pressure, to show numbers, and that pressure actually kills them at the end. You need to work with investors who understand the long-term picture of this investment, as well as the whole ecosystem. Then you definitely have a better possibility to cash in a later stage once the people have see the added value. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Plus, the reward ecosystem comes into that, where we're incentivizing users to come in and use the ecosystem and not, value your day one, you're earning points.
Exactly, and even every time you log in, you get points. Every time you log in, you get points. If you refer your friends, you get 20 points. If you post your first item, you get 20 points. At the beginning, we are actually offering a lot of rewards to make the content, to fill up the content, so people really don't get bored when they see the app and say, hey, wow, this is a cool thing. Maybe I should try it too, and make some points on the site and then some money, basically.
Often entrepreneurs create something and then it's used in a different way than they might have expected. I know you've used your app. You have a lot of points on the app. So can you tell me about a case where either you used the app and something unexpected happened, or you saw the app being used in an unexpected way?
Absolutely. When we first launched the app in 2020, that was version 1. It was basically a lost and found app. Mm-hmm. And that was because I had a situation when I moved from Florida to Switzerland. I got robbed, all my storage facility was gone, and that prompted me to the idea, hey, I should put all my valuable things into the blockchain where only I have access with all the information. Once something gets stolen, I press the button and put it on a real-time search engine, offer a finder's fee. That was the idea behind the whole iVault thing. which later, once we actually launched the app, we saw, some people were actually posting their cats were running away and this and that. But it's not the stickiness. The stickiness wasn't there. That because how many times you lose something, or how many times you get robbed, it's not like happening every second, But every second you think about, maybe I want to buy or sell something, or want to do good for a good, or do something good for a good cause. So we had this small function, lend something out in the first version, and we saw a lot of people were using this lend, and out of this first idea, which was basically a lost and found idea, the whole sharing economy started to build out of the first version.
It kind of reminds me of some of the other kind of like sharing economy apps, like Uber, DoorDash, right? Why have those apps taken off in a bigger way than this kind of like sharing economy idea? Or was it just not ready?
It wasn't ready. Uber and Airbnb came out, I would say, like 10, 15 years ago, maybe 20 years even. So they are here for a while. That takes time. The share economy really started for consumers the last few years, 3-4 years. So it's really still in the baby shoes. But, three major reasons why we're doing that. Climate issues, what we have right now, inflation, which leads to poverty, and the banking system, which is about to collapse. I mean, look at the fractional lending, what the Federal Reserve's offering those banks. They're actually giving, when they're getting $10 billion from the Federal Reserve, they're lending $100 billion, and then, the people who taking those loans are not able to pay back, and then the whole system collapse. We saw that in Lehman Brothers, and things like that will repeat because the financial cycle repeats itself. So this system is not going to work, if you are printing money on thin air. Back then, we had the gold standard, where the dollar was actually hooked up on gold, but that is gone now. Now it's they're actually printing money on thin air. So that's the reason why lots of people in the financial industry are leaning more and more into crypto, because they say, okay, that makes sense. The cryptos are based on demand, supply and demand, which basically all the other commodities come, gold, everything, oil is all on supply and demand. And crypto as well. And obviously, the better your use case, the better your ecosystem, the better your chances are that you can succeed in the system. And unfortunately, it's like that we have right now. I read on Cointelegraph, 36 million tokens are out. 36 million tokens. 99% are scam. I bet with you, because probably only 3 million are listed, on different exchanges and stuff like that. So it's really hard for someone who wants to speculate with tokens or wants to do something in this area to really make their research and find out. So I always say you need to always have the 3 Ps, or let's say the 4 Ps have to be aligned. The 1 P is the product. The product has to really cover a real world issue. I told you the 3 problems what we are trying to solve. The second P has to be the price of the product. The price of the product has to be better than what the competition offers. And with the incentivation, the low publishing fee, we are good to go. And the third P are the people who stand behind the company. So for me as a person, I'm an entrepreneur. Since 25 years, I come from the wealth management. I was investment banker. I used to work in New York and in the US for many, many years. And I was funding startup companies before even crypto was coming out in 2009 with Bitcoin. So I'm 52 already. So I went through all those cycles which we talked before. And I can tell you right now that the people, the most successful companies were mostly the 3 Ps. The product, the price, and the people were behind it. Mm-hmm. You can have the best product with the best price and the worst management, worst people, never going to be successful. So those 3 Ps are very important. Once you cover all those 3, the 4th P is promotion, promotion, promotion. And that's why we're sitting here together, Jack, and hope that your community is actually resonating what I'm saying here.
Right. We've obviously seen kind of like peer-to-peer marketplaces for the exchange of goods, but we haven't seen them for the sharing of goods. Why is right now right for the idea of this sharing economy to take off?
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if you're aware of how much toxic waste comes out of those factories who are producing shirts, t-shirts, sweaters, clothes into our rivers, and our fishes are dying left and right. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. I'm not sure if you know what's happening in Africa with those little kids who are actually digging into the earth and getting copper out or lithium, stuff like that, and die on cancer a few years later. I'm not sure if you're aware about all those issues what we have right now with this overconsumption, and our job is to educate the people. Even if we don't care about the people in Africa, even if we don't care about the fishes in the rivers, even if we don't care about anything, maybe we care about ourselves. And if we continue with what we are doing with this overconsumption, overconsumerism, we will go into a direction where your kids will never ever see this planet like we actually saw it, and we need to break this vicious cycle. So to answer this question, Jack, we need to educate the people first what the effect is of the way we're living right now. And if they understand that, we give them this platform, how we can change it. If all of us help together, and start sharing goods, in a fair way, then I think we can actually reduce all those issues we have right now. Because then companies and big industries are forced through the community to make a change in the production line. You know what I'm saying? Because we are right now rebelling against that. And I think, in my humble opinion, there is nothing better on planet Earth if you are creating in IT, if you're creating a platform where people can help each other to make this world a better place. And that's exactly what we're doing,
Yeah. Do you think most of your users lean towards that? And let me back up a little bit. Like when we saw solar coming out, or I remember like the first hybrid cars coming out, it was kind of this like these hippies that were kind of ideologically motivated, that those were the people using those products, and those products weren't necessarily like financially viable quite yet. But then as we saw solar develop, now Texas is installing millions of square miles of solar fields, right? Because the product has become so it just makes sense, right? It makes sense not from an ideological perspective, but because it's a clear benefit to myself, or it's a cheaper way to get energy or something. Do you think most of your users are at the ideological phase, or most of your users are at the value phase?
Okay, if you educate them right, most of them will be ideological driven, and here I think it's very important. What's the target audience? Who is my target audience?
Right.
My target audience are the Gen Z people. Gen Z is my target audience because they are much more conscious than we older people. Maybe now I'm very conscious, but let's say other people, most other people, they don't care about things like that. They have other issues. They think they have problems. But in real, they don't have problems because you're causing your problems in your mind. I always say nothing has a meaning until you give it a meaning. Think about that. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say here is, Jack, you need to know your target audience. I know my target audiences are Gen Z. They are short on money. They are very conscious about our planet. They know it can't continue the way they are, and they don't want to own anything. They say owning something is a liability. So if you really funnel all our energy, that's what we're doing, funnel all our energy on the Gen Z, working with universities. Very soon, from September on, we start working with universities to bring out, shout out the word about iVault, and making sure that people who have books to study or whatever they need to study, they can lend and rent it out to other people. And I think these are the target audience. And from there on, those once this community is driving, it's like, making other people starting to be interested about as well. But
Go ahead.
But to answer your question, the target audience is important. The Gen Z, it's about 60 or 70% of the Gen Z love our product because we did a lot of market research, and now we're pushing it out to them through the universities. And the other part, which are not so conscious, not so aware about in what situation we are living as of now, they will actually, so we hope, will be then convinced, or let's say persuaded by the Gen Zs that this is the right path.
Interesting. Yeah, I kind of resonate with it personally because I move around a lot. So I always feel like the possessions I have are such a weight because I want to be able to put all my things in a backpack and then go. But then you move into a house, right? And you're like, I don't have a drill. I want to hang up this painting. I don't have a drill, or I don't have a coffee maker. I need to make coffee. You got to go to the coffee shop or something, right? Like it's an interesting dynamic. But I do think more and more younger people are following this path where it's like, I don't need all these things as much. But I still need to use things, right? I still need to occupy this physical world and use things. And this is kind of an elegant solution for something like that. You have a long history in business, in banking, you mentioned. Now you're working, you decided to work on this big idea that's out there, that's non-consensus. Why did you decide to devote your life to this problem?
Okay. Well, I told you this one thing what happened to me in Florida when I got robbed. I was so devastated emotionally about my loss. And I thought I have to find a solution when this happens to other people, that they have a possibility to retrieve their properties and their items back.
Right.
That was the one idea. And I was sick and tired of the investment banking stuff. I was really sick and tired doing this since over 20 years or 19 years. I was really sick of it, and I really wanted to switch sides and do something which really benefits society and leave a mark, a positive mark before I leave this country. So that was the reasoning behind it. Little did I know that when I'm going from banking into crypto, that crypto has even more. To be very careful what I say. There's a lot of scammers in crypto. It's unbelievable how many fake companies and people, individuals trying to lure me into some kind of business, and they're total rip-offs. So I'm totally, I was totally surprised a year ago. I thought, hey, I went from investment banking where I thought this is not good. I'm going to IT, which is great. And now IT is super great, don't get me wrong. But once you get into the crypto scene where it's all about money and not so much regulations, there's a lot of black sheeps. And that is sad, because it makes it also hard for us who have a legit business. But the idea was, yes, I want to do something where we as humans can actually evolve to a better place, and in the other hand, help each other. Because I think the purpose of life is to help, is really to help for us humans. If we find out what our purpose is, and I found out for myself, is to help. And because helping people gives you so much, owning a lot of things, I don't know if it gives you so much, it's just a small fix, where you feel happy about it. But long term, if you help and you meet like-minded people as well, which are all have a good way, or good, let's say, good way of thinking about life, then we can actually really accelerate to the next level of humanity. And that's a problem right now. It's definitely the problem. Look at this, what's going on in the Middle East. I mean, it's terrible. It's really terrible. I feel really sad for each and every person who has to go through wars, and they have nothing to do with it. It's only politics, and politics is driven by money, and let's put this aside. Let's look at more important priorities. And once we start sharing, and I'm 100% convinced about it, once you help out people with things, you feel good about yourself. Besides that, you make money, and if we feel good about ourselves for being nice, then those things, empathy, compassion, unity, and love will drive. And that's what we need. And that's what the Beatles said the song of the Beatles back then, all we need is love. And they're right, absolutely right. And that's what we need. So that's what we want to do in a really smart way, where people can make money on the side, where incentivization is a big key element of our app. And I believe we're on the right path. We just launched the app in October. We had 116,000 installs, 18,000 users. That's a lot for Web3.
Wow.
That's a lot for Web3, because look, 256 million users are right now on Binance, and they are trading cryptos, but they don't know how to use a decentralized app. Most of them, maybe 10%, But if you get someone involved into an app which they can use every day, then slowly, and that's exactly what we are trying to do with the tokens, what I showed you also in the app, how to make their feed web with decentralized apps. So
you're obviously a very socially conscious entrepreneur. You're environmentally conscious. You're politically conscious. There are many ways you can kind of contribute to the world, but you decided to make a company to kind of address this problem, to improve the world. Why do that versus becoming involved in politics or starting a charitable organization or something like that? Why build a company?
Yeah, because all my life I was actually investing into companies with my investors in startup companies. So this is what I know. I of course I can give up everything I did and say, hey, I'm now cleaning toilets and I'm doing also something nice for society because they have a clean toilet. Or I can go and be like Sadhguru or whatever, But I chose this way because actually it was my destiny. I come from investment banking. I was raising a lot of money for startup companies. I saw companies failing, and I saw companies quadruple their value. And this is how I learned, and I learned from the mistakes and benefits of them. And I always wanted to do something where society can benefit. And now I'm right now in this role. And all I hope is that the community loves what we're doing and is actually, pushing it as hard as possible, because we all can benefit from it as a society, as at the end also monetize from the monetizing way. And of course, the iVault token then obviously will also go up. So it's all in the hand of the community. And anything else is for me was not a choice.
I have one question, and then I think we have to wrap up based on time. But my last question for you is, what is your greatest ambition for this product? Where could you step back after 1 year, 5 years, and say, okay, we've reached this level. I'm very happy with what we accomplished here.
Okay, I think. Once you have a startup company, you always have those ambitious plans, and you think you can make 50 million users and have a $5 billion company. And little did you know, once you start to do, all the problems are coming, and then most of them give up. And I love that. No, I don't like problems, but I love to go through those issues and learn, because it's a learning process. It's an ongoing learning process. And once the app is here where we are now, where it works, it looks sexy, people like it, and now we do it even easier for the Web2 audience to use it as well, then you see the progress. And each progress I see in that journey makes me super happy, My goal is that we will have in the next 3 to 5 years 50 million users, and I love it when other people say this guy is nuts, But that's exactly my motivation, when other people think this guy is nuts, because this gives me this inner drive to show them it is possible, So and what I love to achieve is to have this company successful in a way that people really use it, have the benefit. We see minimizing all the CO2 that our rivers have, again, fish. We have less microplastics in our system. That's then you see you have a solution. You made a solution for a problem. And I think that has a chance. I don't know if we will be that lucky. It's in the hand of the community. I can only do my best to do an app where everyone loves, where people make money on the side, and it's better than the competition. At the end, it's in the hand of the community. And what I would like to do, if it's successful, then I would definitely would use all the money I make out of that and spend it into places where people really need it. You know, philanthropy is something really great if you have the wherewithals to do it. Because believe me, Jack, you were born naked and you die naked. You can't take the money with you into grave. So you better give it to people who need it, because that's the biggest luck, the biggest happiness, when you can actually see that people can be are benefiting through your efforts.
I want to give you an opportunity to shout out where people can go, where can people download the app, what social media should people check out, the token. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, Jack. Yeah, so you can check our X spaces at iVault app. You can install or download the app at the Apple Store. iVault, it's the local neighborhood is called. So iVault TM trademark. So make sure, because there's a lot of iVaults, but we are the only iVault with blockchain. And obviously we are at Android as well. So you can find us there. Also at Telegram, iVault app official. We are basically on all social media platforms. The easiest way is you just visit our website, iVault.io. You have a lot of good information on our website. And also obviously the download install buttons which leads you right to the right platform. Other than that, we have also a newsletter. You can, subscribe for our newsletter. We weekly bring out some newsletters. We will be basically next week in Monte Carlo at the Web Summit. I'm going to be at the panel and also keynote, where we were also rewarded as one of the best RWAs. So I'm really grateful if you guys can vote for us, so we can take it home to Switzerland as the best real-world asset product. And then I'm going to be at the Ethereum conference in Cannes on the 2nd of July, also demonstrating the app through a huge audience.
Oh, cool.
And I'm super excited. And then the tour goes on to Bali in the mid of August. I think the 20th of August is the Bali Coin Fest, the Asian Coin Fest, with 10,000 people. And also I'm very grateful that I can be there as speaker as well. So once you go on our website, iVault.io, you get all the information about our events, about our app, and also each and every week we update the numbers of installs and users. So
Phenomenal. It's been a pleasure sitting down with chatting with you. You're an incredibly interesting entrepreneur with a long story of all of what you built and your mindset and philosophy around building. So it was fun to sit down with you. I feel like a lot of that stuff resonated with me personally as an entrepreneur and thinking about things in some new ways. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being on the show. And we look forward to following the progress of iVault in the future.
Thank you so much, Jack, for having me, and all the best to you and your community. Thank you.
Thank you.